Following the money, Biden's withdrawal from the 2024 presidential race has spurred a lot of questions, including what happens to the tens of millions of dollars raised in campaign funds.
And earlier this month, the Biden campaign said it has upwards of $240 million on hand. The chief business correspondent Taylor Young joining us here in the studio. Taylor, this is a lot of money that appears to be in limbo right now.
Yeah, and this pot of money really only continues to grow by the hour, by the day. And right now, there are several different scenarios of where this money could end up. But after researching and speaking with political experts, there are three that are most likely. So the first is that all of the money is given to Harris to fund her presidential campaign. That will, of course, all depend on if she becomes the official Democratic presidential nominee. The second is Biden could transfer all of his funds to the Democratic National Party. And the third is that this would most likely, that would most likely be the case if Harris is not the nominee. And lastly, Biden could offer to refund the money back to donors. But given the fact that Biden has endorsed Harris and that other political leaders have also endorsed her, political experts say it's likely she will end up being the Democratic nominee and wind up with the funds.
If Kamala Harris is the nominee, remember that money, the campaign money, was raised by the Biden-Harris campaign. Her name is on it. Now, assuming that she is allowed to use that money, again, all of that becomes her money to use as she sees fit, just like it would have been Biden and Harris before.
And a fourth option is that Biden administration gives campaign money to another candidate. That max payout, however, under the campaign finance laws is $2,000. So not a lot of money if they end up going that option.
It is an interesting topic, though, Taylor, and it's one that a lot of people have questions about as they're watching all of this unfold. You know, there are people here in Charlotte who have donated to his campaign. I understand that you spoke with a local man about that. What did he have to say about it?
Yeah, so he said when he donated to the Biden campaign, he didn't just do so with Joe Biden's name in mind. He also did it with Harris's name in mind. So he supports her just as much as he supports the current president. But he did say, you know, if she is the name that ends up on top of the ticket, he will be happy for his money to go towards her. But he also said that if another candidate ends up taking her spot, that he will also be happy for the money to go there. So he's really just hoping for the best candidate to take that spot. And here's more on what he had to say.
Whether, you know, if it's, you know, Vice President Harris, then she has access to the dollars. And if it's someone new, then we'll raise more dollars. So I'm not worried about that. But the question is, who's the best candidate to lead the country forward?
Now, Malcolm is a Charlotte business leader. He is among a number of Charlotte residents who made the maximum donation to the Biden campaign.
All right, so Taylor, even with all of this still up in the air right now, organizations are still giving right now to Kamala Harris and her campaign. Right?
I mean, absolutely. I mean, within hours of Biden ending his bid for the 2024 presidential election and within hours of him officially endorsing Harris, I mean, it is estimated that $50 million was donated to the campaign. That is a record in the amount of time. 50 million in just a couple of hours by the end of last night. That's a record. So yeah, we are continuing to see those donations pouring in, and political experts expect that to be the case really up until November.
Yeah.